Putin is willing to negotiate an end to the conflict in Ukraine if the West makes concessions first. Officials in the Kremlin said on Saturday that Russian President Vladimir Putin is willing to negotiate an end to the conflict in Ukraine. However, the prospects for negotiations are low because Moscow is demanding that its territorial claims in Ukraine's eastern Donbas region be recognized as part of any solution. Mr. Putin wants a peaceful resolution to the conflict, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov told Russian media over the weekend, but he also made it clear that any ceasefire is contingent on the West offering significant concessions to Russia. Ukraine, the United States, and NATO all agree that this kind of situation is unacceptable at this time. To achieve our goals without resorting to a special military operation, President Putin has been, is, and will continue to be receptive to any and all communication. It would be ideal if it could be done, Mr. Peskov said Saturday on Russia's Rossiya 1 TV station. His statements come as fighting persists in eastern Ukraine, especially in and around Bakhmut, which Russian troops claim to control despite claims from Ukrainian military officials that the conflict is still active on the city's outskirts. We should not believe Putin's claims that he was a Soviet super spy. According to the report, he was a errand boy for the KGB. Vladimir Putin, the current president of Russia, has been portrayed as a top-level KGB spy from the 1980s. However, a recent article published in Der Spiegel suggests that he was never the super spy he was credited with being. Banal, administrative tasks like processing vacation requests were the bulk of his job. German news outlet Der Spiegel conducted an investigation that found it highly unlikely that Russian President Vladimir Putin was ever an elite Soviet spy. Putin has never commented on his time spent in the intelligence community in the 1980s, so the events of that decade remain largely unknown and subject to varying accounts. Stories, however, have portrayed him as a heroic figure who protected the KGB headquarters from looters and met with members of the Red Army faction, a terrorist organization responsible for a string of kidnappings and murders in West Germany. Der Spiegel claims that Putin spent most of his time performing banal administrative duties. This article quotes a former co-worker of Putin's from the KGB's Dresden office as saying that Putin's work consisted primarily of endlessly reviewing applications for West German relatives' visits or searching for potential informants among foreign students at Dresden University. According to the report, Putin is barely mentioned in Stasi, East Germany's secret police files. None of the sources that do mention him provide any proof that the rumors are true. Most only mention his birthday or some administrative duties. In an interview with Der Spiegel, former Dresden-based Stasi officer Horst Gemlich described Putin as a errand boy. Putin spent nearly 20 years in the employ of the KGB, the Soviet Union's intelligence agency. In 1985, when East Germany was on its last legs, he relocated to Dresden. Only 4 years later, in 1990, the Berlin Wall came down, ushering in the end of the Cold War and paving the way for Germany's reunification. He left the KGB officially as a lieutenant colonel before retiring. Yet Putin's fiercest critic, former KGB officer Oleg Kalugin, claimed in a 2015 interview with RFE/RL that Putin was a liar and just a major.